Welcome everybody, it's Tracy Di Bartolo, Thermomix consultant here. I am just going to do a little buzz around because I realised I'm backwards. So bear with me because I do hate being backwards. And there's nothing like keeping it real, is there, folks? Okay, that, and that. There we go. Perfect. Get rid of that. And we're back. Okay, the joys of being live, but now you've got my screen the correct way. Start again. Hello everybody, it's Tracy Di Bartolo, Thermomix consultant here from the beautiful McLaren Vale in Adelaide. Okay, I've got a busy time at the moment because it's summer here in Adelaide and I have been enjoying all of the beautiful produce that's come my way. So one of those produce items was a great big box of beautiful Roma tomatoes. So I've been busy making tomato paste and I've also been busy making tomato relish. Now for relish, of course you need jars and the jars need to be sterilised. So over the years, I have been collecting containers, jars. I have got loads and loads of them. So there's all sorts of manner of sizes of jars, little ones, big ones, and it doesn't really matter because you're going to use them all if you start using all that beautiful produce. But one thing that I like to do is I like to remove the labels off of them so that I end up with a nice clear jar, and then I'll make my own labels and put on them. Just looks a little bit nicer, and also if you end up gifting them, it looks a little bit more professional. So yesterday a friend was here with me, so if she watches sometime down the track, hello, you remember doing this job with me. She matched up all of the jars and the lids for me, and then we experimented with different ways of how to get off the labels because it can be a bit tedious. So I have decided that it's much easier to use a paint scraper. So one of these scrapers, I'll show you there, and I've even got one in a packet so I can show you what the packet looks like. Hopefully you can see that. I just got this from Bunnings. So if you're in Australia, you can head to a Bunnings and grab yourself these. They're not expensive at all, and they come down the bottom here with lots of replacement blades. Okay, so clicks into place like so. It's really sharp, as my friend found out, so please be careful when you're doing this. So the first thing we did was just soak them in water to see how effective that was. Yeah, it was okay. They came off, but it was a little bit more effort. Second thing, my friend decided that she thought she had heard someone give her this hint that if you use some kind of a window cleaner, so you spray the window cleaner all over the label, really soak it, even maybe soak a paper towel in it, leave it for a while to go through, that can help. So she did that, and again, it was better than the water, but still not perfect. And then I remembered that I had some of this, which is isopropyl alcohol, again from Bunnings. All right, I'm sorry, I'm not a Bunnings advocate or anything, but it just so happens to be that's where that comes from, and I know it's helpful if I can tell you where to buy these things. And so using this, she basically just put the jar into a little bowl and just sprayed it all over. We left it for a bit of time, and then out it came, and basically it comes off really, really easily. Now every jar is different. Some come off extremely easily and others are a little bit more effort. But this is a Cottee's strawberry jam jar. I'm sure people have got some of those in their cupboards, and you basically just scrape it off like so. The longer you soak, the better off, the easier it is. And I've only really just sprayed this just before I came on, and then I gave it another spray then. So if you had sprayed it a lot more, it'll be even easier. Okay, but that gets the bulk of it off. All right, so I held the jar inside and then was scraping away from me. Don't ever scrape up. I do not want anyone to hurt themselves. And yeah, just be really, really mindful. These are ultra, ultra sharp. And when they start to get on the dull side, then you've got plenty more. And then it clicks down so that it's safe to store. The blade is hidden away. All right, now the next thing I do, because it's still got a bit of that glue left on it, is I use from our Kangaroo Island, beautiful Kangaroo Island here in South Australia. There is the Emu Ridge eucalyptus, and I've decanted it into a small bottle because I buy a litre at a time. All right, and then simply just rub all over, and it pretty much just takes off all of the glue off of there. Okay, so once you've done that, and if you've got half a dozen jars or so to do, it will take you a few minutes, but it's well worth doing. Next step to on the road to sterilising your jars is that you need to give them a wash in some warm soapy water and then rinse them with some hot water. Now, I tend to use my Varoma for steaming as much as I can, but of course it is restricted by the size of the jar. So I will demonstrate what I mean. First thing you need to do is put 500 mils of water into your bowl. You can activate the scales if you want, or as many of you may know, there are little markers inside the bowl, and the first dot that actually represents 500 mils. So I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to be too fussy. All right, so lid goes on like so. Take out the MC, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put the Varoma in place. Now hopefully you can see that. Okay, whoop, that way, there you go. All right, the size of your jar. So these are a couple of jars that I've already done. This is an example of a jar, and I've got 3 or 4 more others to go in. So just get in as many as you can comfortably fit. It'll be either 4 or maybe you can squeeze 5 in. And I also put in, down the sides, I also put in the lids, okay? And what you're going to do is you're just going to put the lid on. So this is the important bit. The lid must sit on well. So it mustn't be standing up like so. So for instance, if I try to put this larger jar, there we go, in there, and then try to put the lid on, that's no good, you see? Pretty simple, but I like to make sure that everyone knows exactly what they're doing. So fill that up as much as you can, put your lid on, and then down here, 20 minutes is what you should put it on. So we're just going to put on 20 minutes on the clock, and then we are going to make sure that the temperature is at Varoma. So Varoma is all the way around on the clock, and the word Varoma will come up, and that is what we call steaming temperature. So what we want to do is create enough steam that it pushes up, and it's going to sterilize those jars for 20 minutes. And then you simply turn it on. I put it on about speed 2, okay? I'm going to put that aside because I'll do that in a moment. Now, if you've got your bigger jars, so say a jar like so, that is not going to fit in your Varoma, you've got a couple of other alternatives. And one of those is to simply still wash it in warm soapy water, no matter what. That's always your first thing you do. Rinse it out in hot water. Then I boil the kettle. So bring this kettle to boiling, and then making sure that you've got your jars on a surface that will protect your bench top. Pour the boiling water into your already warm jar. So that is quite important, because the jars that are commercial, they're actually quite resilient, but I have found from trial and error that sometimes the jars that we purchase from the retail stores as, you know, jars to use for your produce, they're not quite as resilient, and they're a little bit finer. So it's really important to always make sure your jar is warm already before you put the boiling water in. And if you're unsure, maybe get a tray that's got some sides on it. Sit your jars inside the tray, because then if it cracks and boiling water goes everywhere, it's contained, okay? So I've learnt this through my own mistakes. So I'm trying to stop anyone else making the same mistakes. Leave that boiling water in there, and also remember to do the lids. So you would have the lid there and you'd pour boiling water all over that. Leave those for 20 minutes while you're preparing your chutney or jam or whatever it is that you're making. Okay, so that's one method. The third method, so Varoma or boiling water, or you can just wash these in warm soapy water, rinse them out in hot water, put them into a tray, an oven tray, and then put them in your oven, 100 degrees for 20 minutes. So as you can see, the 20-minute time frame is the constant thing, and that is what's going to sterilize your jars. And then obviously as you're handling them, make sure that you've got something so that you don't burn yourself. So I just wrap a little bit of towel or something. It's not too thick so that you can still hold it to move it around. And also when you are pouring your contents from the Thermomix, so say your chutney, always make sure that you use something like this. So those of you who follow me a lot will have seen this item. It's called the jam funnel. It's about $12.95 from the mix shop. Honestly, it's the best thing, because when you're pouring hot liquid, and also remember that when you're pouring hot liquid out of your Thermomix bowl, ensure that you hold the handle from down here. So that is the best ergonomic way to pour. It stops your arm, so your shoulder, your elbow, from any damage, because you tend to tuck in and then see how much you can pour. Whereas if I hold it here, I tend to put my arm up like that. So that's just a tiny little tip that I try and tell everybody when I deliver a machine. So hold it from down at the bottom, tuck your arm in, and then pour out your contents. The jam funnel will mean that it doesn't splatter everywhere. You can see just as it reaches the top, and then give it a bit of a wiggle, take it out, move it to the next jar, and move on. All right, one last thing that I wanted to mention. It's not really related to sterilizing, but I noticed just as I was about to come on and do this live that I've got a couple of machines and a couple of bowls, obviously, and I wonder whether you can see the difference in the colour of those two lids. Apologies if you can't see it, but the one on my left, your right probably, is what we call the normal colour. The one here has got that sort of funny greeny colour. Now, this happens whenever you cook something with either turmeric or curry powder, for instance. That's just a couple of examples. It looks like it's permanently stained this lid. But the good news is that in order to remedy it and get it back to that colour, which is the more normal colour, you simply put this out in the sun, facing up. So put it there for a couple of hours, depends how strong the sun is on the day that you are doing it, and it will come back to this normal colour. Now don't be worried about putting it out in the sun and it being too hot. These items are made to withstand a lot of heat. They go in the dishwasher, they're all dishwasher safe, so there's no problems. You won't damage it either. Even if you are concerned about your measuring cup, because there's a couple of different types of material that's used for these, you can put that out in the sun too if you want to try and get some stains or smells out of them. So that's my little hint about that. And I think that that is it for now. So please, if you've watched me, give me a thumbs up so I know that you were here, because it's very lonely otherwise, talking to myself, which, you know, everyone can relate to. And even if you're watching on replay, I still will get a little notification. So a little thumbs up, or even a love if you can spare it. Also, if you're on my YouTube, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who joined us here, please feel free to subscribe. I won't inundate you too much, but when I do a new little video, you'll get a notification. And I've got many, many, many hundreds of people all over the world who watch me, which is kind of neat, isn't it? All right, I just love to share the love. That's me. And obviously, I am a consultant. So if I've inspired you in any way, and if you don't already have a consultant, please feel free to reach out to me. No pressure. I will answer any questions that you've got. Very, very happy to help people through whatever they want to know, even if they're just still toying with the idea of getting themselves a Thermomix. I like to be able to help. Okay, I'm going to go now. Have a great day, and I will see you next time I'm here. Bye for now.